Mountain God needs no donations, only worship please. Chapter 42. Fan Fiction by Azazyel. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel for listening and patreon.com/Azazyel to read all of his stories. Sitting across from the meme legend himself, I had to keep a poised expression of indifference as the man started strong in the negotiations. Moria. Moria, I can see the American in you. Only an American would sit on a throne in slippers, for God's sake, so come on, give your homeland a bone. Trump said as he folded his hands over them as he leaned in slightly across the table that separated us. At his motion of leaning forward, I could see how his Cheetos dust-colored wig/hair flopped forwards, and I had to hold in a maniacal giggle as I responded flatly. The city of Orario is open to all of humanity, and sure, not all of it's fair, as many people have supernatural talents that put them above others, but without good reason. I don't give out cheats except for my own entertainment, I said righteously, and Trump nodded in agreement with a smile. Yes, that's perfectly understandable, but Moria, to say nothing of the planet's pollution levels going down from switching to these magic stones. But couldn't you just allow countries to use their military and their munitions to establish ourselves in the dungeon on one of the safe zone levels? He asked, and I honestly scoffed at that. No. I already have North Korea's government constantly sending assassins at me, for the fact that people that enter from there can somehow enter South Korea. I am but a humble mountain god who doesn't want to get involved in the mortal nations. How was I supposed to know that Korea got split up? I spoke dryly with a hidden smile, and Trump chuckled before he waved a hand. So you won't change the rules for large-scale militaries to take control, and that's fair. But is there a way you can make it easier for large organizations to acquire and trade materials from your dungeon, as the standard parties of up to 5 members obviously won't supply America, let alone the world, when those 5 people in the group will want to pad their own coffers? He finished, and for a moment I paused at the thought before shrugging. All right, I said, smiling as I snapped my fingers, making the Secret Service guard standing beside Trump tense as the blue screen of my system appeared in front of President Trump. Guild system initiated. Each guild starts out at LVL 0 and allows the induction of 50 members, and at max level of 10 will allow the induction of 12,800 members, with each guild level doubling member allowance and providing players with various buffs. The funniest thing about this system and the power I was granting people was how it was almost completely within my control due to the mana cores that got put into people with the acceptance of the system. If they did something that made me pissy, I could just make said mana core poof into dust within their souls, and they would lose their mana bar and be completely useless without their skills and spells within the dungeon. You are right, I do have some feelings for my homeland, so in return for one favor I give you the gift of knowledge. The guild creation tokens will only drop from nightmare difficulty floor bosses and unique monsters within the dungeon, I said evilly, and Trump looked at me like I was literally Satan. But no one has completed either of those tasks. He grumbled, and I shrugged. Well, tell your soldiers and the American people to get good, and maybe quit trying to fuck every monster girl they find in the dungeon, I said bluntly, and he chuckled, shaking his head. All right, thank you Moria for the early information. Will you be sharing this information with others? Oh, and what favor did you want for this information? He asked, and for a moment I paused, as I only really said the favor bit for the hell of it. But as I took a drink of my own divine wine, I paused before I smiled and spoke. Get me a line to the people running Dr. Pepper and other soda and drink companies. I wish for them to build factories within Jinsokyo, and I will literally make magical teleporters for them to teleport stuff from here to America and vice versa. Would be an amazing tool to have instantaneous travel from America to Japan, easier access to the Asian markets after all. I finished thinking longingly about a good cold Dr. Pepper. Then I recalled his other question and continued. And no, I don't have any plans to disclose this information to other nations. And at that, the meeting ended on a good note, with me shaking his hand, and I, deciding to be a good host, gave him a medallion that would revert his body status back by 3 days if he ever got assassinated, poisoned, or best of all mind-controlled. In total our meeting only lasted a good half an hour, as most of it was just pomp and ceremony, and when it was over Trump got back on his plane and flew to Tokyo to meet with Japan's government about how America should react to how their nation had become a neutral ground and thus almost a war zone for the supernatural factions to fight in. Then as Sakuya came into the room and used her time-skipping nonsense to move everything back into order from the meeting, she spoke with a teasing smile. You know Flandra will be most cross if you don't tell her the secret about the guild tokens, and Lady Remilia will also be saddened if she cannot get a guild token to make a name for the Crimson Devil Mansion. I raised an eyebrow before speaking with a drawl. Flandra won't dare to do anything after I promised to spank her after she reduced my gaming chair to fucking dust. At my words, she snorted and shrugged. Flandra, even in her new adult form, is many things, but attentive and patient is certainly not one of them. Saklia said bluntly, and then her face twisted as she evilly giggled as I facepalmed as her words proved prophetic as the door to my throne room dissolved into dust as Flandre flew in surrounded by her black and red power of destruction she had gotten a stronger hang of with her older form. Moria. I want to be a guild leader so I can tell big sister what to do. She yelled fiercely, and my eyes were twitching as I looked at the pile of ashes that was once a set of refined marble inlaid with gold and gems that was the massive double door into my throne room. Flandre. You have chosen violence. I roared as I teleported a rubber slipper into my hand, and the blonde vampire went even paler than usual. Realizing what she did, she began begging for forgiveness as I chased after her through my cathedral, smacking her plush ass with the slipper, like a mother chasing their child with said slipper.